Hey, what is going on everybody? Repel here, and we have Wi-Fi Battle 181. Now today we're up against opponent Big Z. And we actually have special rules in this battle. We are bringing region-specific teams here. If you take a good look at Big Z's team, yes, he's bringing a pure Johto team, while I got myself a pure Kalos team. Regular Smogon OU 6-on-6 rules, but we are only bringing a region-specific team. Now Big Z is going to lead off with the Gligar, and I led off with the Keldeo. Terrible lead for Big Z, because obviously I can either go for an Ice move or a Water move. Now he's going to go into the Politoed, expecting either of those moves, which is really good. Politoed is also extremely defensive, and not to mention Politoed can learn moves like Encore, Toxic, and Scald, and obviously Keldeo severely outmatched by the freaking Politoed here. My Icy Wind did absolutely nothing. It did drop its speed, but I don't want to get hit by a Toxic, so I'm going to go into my Stoutland. Now why on earth would I send out my Stoutland to absorb a Toxic? It is simply because my Stoutland actually has Rest and Sleep Talk. So he does land as Toxic, which again does not quite matter because I do have Rest and Sleep Talk. Speaking of which, my Stoutland is actually a very unique spread. It has Rest, Sleep Talk, Return, and Roar. It's basically a defensive Stoutland that can roar away any potential sweepers. Now it turns out he also has Protect too, so that will actually waste one of my turn and I'll get some damage. So I figured, you know what, pretty sure my opponent is, I don't know, gonna go for maybe a switch here. So I figured I'm gonna go into Landorus and basically go set up some Stealth Rocks. Now Gligar can also go for Stealth Rocks, or he can go for a Defog. Turns out he actually went for his own Stealth Rock, so we both have Stealth Rocks on both sides of the field. I didn't care though, I'm going to go for U-turn now. Again, Gligar can also learn U-turn, so I don't really care though. I'm just going to go for U-turn, and I'm going to bring out something that can scare out this Gligar. Or I can actually just send out my Stoutland, because honestly, Stoutland is a good wall. It's pretty good in physical defensive, and also special defensive too. Turns out my opponent's Gligar actually went for his own U-turn. So we are just U-turning back and forth, which is fine because I actually do have Rocky Helmet, which is fantastic. So Gligar did lose a little bit of health, but keep in mind, because it's a Gligar, usually they also have Roost. Now Scizor is out. That's a little bit terrifying because he can do like so many things. Go for Mega Evolution, he can go for Swords Dance, he can go for Agility, he can go for Knockoff, he can go for Pursuit. All that good stuff. Expecting maybe a Swords Dance followed by a Bullet Punch, I'm actually going to go Darmanitan. Turns out my opponent predicts that really nicely, expects my Darmanitan to come out, and finishes me off along with his Stealth Rocks damage. Very sad. I should have just brought out my intimidating Landorus to eat up that superpower. Speaking of which, I do have two Pokemon that can go for Intimidates. My Landorus and my Stoutland. Now I went for the Will-O-Wisp, a little bit too obvious here, so again my opponent is playing extremely well in the beginning of this match. He finished off my Darmanitan with a good prediction, and he also bounced back my Will-O-Wisp by switching into the Espeon. So thumbs up for my opponent, honestly, for playing so well so far. I'm also expecting Shadow Ball. Yes, I do have my own Shadow Ball on Cofagrigus. However, my Cofagrigus is not specially defensive, and Espeon is pretty freaking strong, so I have no choice but to switch out. I do have my special defense wall. However, my special defense wall has just dropped one special offense thanks to that secondary effect of Shadow Ball. However, I'm pretty sure I can still live the next one. My opponent is not going to switch back out. I took this opportunity and just go for Stealth Rocks. Honestly, these Stealth Rocks are hurting me a little bit too much, so I'm going to go for my Rapid Spin right here, right now. I don't care what this Politoed will do. I mean, he just switched into his Politoed, so it doesn't matter. Speaking of which, my opponent does not have a spin blocker, which is great. So I'm able to spin away those rocks while my Stealth Rocks are still on my opponent's side of the field. So I'm going to say that I do have the advantage here. However, that is not a deciding factor of this battle. Now, expecting maybe another Toxic, I'm going to go back into, the Stoutland, and basically drop his attack. Not that it really matters, but turns out he actually just went for a Scald. Again, it's okay though, but you know, it is so close to finishing it off. Thank God he didn't get a crit or anything. And even with poison damage, I am sitting at really low HP. However, I know for a fact my Stoutland can outspeed this Politoed. My opponent went for the Protect, figuring that I would waste one turn and then the poison will just naturally kill me. That would have been true if I did not have Rest. However, I did have Rest. My opponent went for the unnecessary Protect and just gave me a free turn to heal up, which is fantastic. I have not even revealed that I have Sleep Talk yet. I don't blame my opponent for not understanding this Stoutland spread, simply because I don't think anyone uses this Stoutland spread. Now Scizor is coming out. I could roar him away in case he does go for a Swords Dance, but I'm really afraid of a superpower. Regardless, I'm gonna go for a Sleep Talk while he switches in. I do get a nice return. It does an alright amount, actually. Very surprising, since Scizor does resist me. He actually predicts that I will go out of the switch and goes for Pursuit. Again, well played on my opponent's part. However, I do have Rocky Helmet, and this Scizor is way below half HP. And actually, I think from this range, I can take him out with one Earthquake. And he is switching out, which honestly, I don't blame him. He wants to preserve his Scizor, then so be it. He's going to go into Gligar expecting the Earthquake. Again, I just went for a U-turn. Going for the Earthquake is too obvious because my opponent does have a Flying type Gligar after all. So I get a switch priority, which is really sweet. And I'm going to bring back my Cryogonal. Now, I haven't still revealed that I have any Ice moves. Which is kind of retarded because I am a freaking Cryogonal. Of course I have either Ice Beam or Freeze Dry, and my opponent will switch out. But these Stealth Rocks are slowly killing Scizor. Not gonna lie, honestly, this Scizor has switched in and out far too many times, and I still cannot live. I still cannot kill this Scizor. Now he can go for the Bullet Punch, and then we know for a fact he's not Mega, so he might be Choice Banded, I don't know, or Expert Belt. Don't want to get hit by either, a knockoff or a Bullet Punch with my Cryogonal. Turns out my opponent actually just went for the Superpower. That's a really poor play there because I think a Bullet Punch would have done a little bit more. I don't know, maybe around the same. But, yeah, I'm actually just going to go for the Stone Edge here in case the Gligar comes out. But it was not wise for my opponents to switch out anyway, simply because I did plant Stealth Rocks, and the Scizor cannot afford to switch out anymore. So there you go, finally, the Scizor is long and gone. But that does not decide the win for this match yet. Simply because my opponent has such an amazing team. Honestly, I love Johto Pokemon. It's probably one of my favorite regions, so I do have a comment question of the day for all of my viewers. What is your favorite region in Pokemon? Now, I may have asked that before, but you know what? Honestly, it's a brand new battle, so I want to ask it one more freaking time. What is your favorite Pokemon region? Personally, mine's probably Johto, but I want to know what my viewers' favorite is. Anyway, he's switching back out. I'm actually going to go for the Secret Sword here. However, my opponent ballsily, bravely goes into the Jumpluff. Had I went for the Icy Wind, it would be a sure kill on this Jumpluff because look at that Secret Sword. That did so much, despite that Jumpluff is resistant. Now, also, Jumpluff is also a Flying type, so I don't think my opponent can afford to switch out anymore. So, thanks to Stealth Rocks. I went into the Stoutland expecting either a physical move, or Swords Dance, or even Sleep Powder. He did just go for his physical move, but, I do have Intimidate. I'm totally digging all these, of my Pokemon getting hurt by Stealth Rocks too, which is sweet, because my opponent really loves switching out. So I'm so glad that I actually switched out so early. Turns out, of course, Gligar has immunity, so I cannot go for Toxic. And excuse me, actually, my Stoutland has Rest, Sleep Talk, Return, and Toxic. He does not have Roar. Excuse me. And maybe I should have brought Roar for this team, simply because my opponent has too many immunities to poison. He has the Gligar, which is immune to poison. He has Scizor, and he has Espeon. All three of them are immune to Toxic. Back into Espeon, I think I just went for the very obvious attack. Now there's really no point for me to do anything else. Could have went for the Toxic, but like I said, my opponent has too many immunities. I get a nice critical hit, which is like, wow, amazing. Because Cryogonal is weak as shit. Cryogonal is only useful for one thing: absorbing special attacks and then rapid spinning hazards away. But I think it's because of that critical I'm actually able to just finish off Espeon quite nicely, I would say so. And there you go, another huge threat out of the way. Things are looking pretty darn sweet here. I played like shit in the beginning simply because I let my Darmanitan die way too early. But all hope is not lost. My opponent now sends out the Politoed, and I'm just thinking, well, the Toxic is probably coming. I don't think I can kill Politoed with a Freeze Dry, simply because Politoed is so damn strong. I'm going to expect either Scald or Toxic. I'm going to bring back the Stoutland. Again, I could probably live one. Turns out he's actually going to do a double here. Maybe expecting, I don't know what to expect, honestly. This Jumpluff is nearly dead. Yeah, actually, not nearly. He is completely gone. He did a double switch, maybe just to pivot and see what I'm going to lead with. Now he's going to go to Kingdra, and when we see Rain with Kingdra, he's most likely a swift swimming Kingdra with like Choice Specs or Life Orb, and this Hydro Pump would destroy the living shit out of me. I didn't even really care. Again, I don't really want anything to take a Choice or Life Orb Hydro Pump in the rain coming from Kingdra. No siree. My opponent actually goes for Draco Mirror. He actually missed. Now this was crucial. I'm telling you, this Kingdra could have swept my entire team, but thanks to him missing his Draco Meteor, now I'm able to go for the recovery and live a few more of its attacks. Had he landed his Draco Meteor, I'm pretty sure I would have died. No joke. But I'm going to go for my +4 super effective Freeze Dry. Yes, you heard it. Freeze Dry is 4 times super effective towards Kingdra because, number 1, it's ice, and number 2, Freeze Dry is strong against water type. So Kingdra, being a water and dragon type, is 4 times weak to Freeze Dry. That is just how amazing Freeze Dry is. And it is my opponent's fall for bringing in 2 water types in this game. That is why I actually try to avoid bringing in same types in a team as much as possible. Unless I'm doing like a mono type Wi-Fi battle, then that's fine. Now he did land his poison on me, and we already know that he has Protect, so he's obviously going to go for Protect just to prolong this battle a little bit more, just so that he can grab some leftovers, and just so that I can get hurt by more residual poison damage, which honestly I don't mind, I don't care. I knew that he would go for the Protect, so there was no point for me to go for an actual attack, so I just went for the Recover. Now I can just go for another Freeze Dry, and that should do it. Unless my opponent goes for another Protect and he gets like double Protect. But he's actually switching out. Very adamant of him. Like I said, I do have Stealth Rock, so sure, I mean, he can switch out for all he wants, honestly. I'm just going to go for Freeze Dry, and again, it's 4 times super effective to Gligar. So my opponent brought 3 Pokemon that is weak to Freeze Dry, and 2 of them are 4 times weak to it. So Freeze Dry is actually a really awesome move, and it works so well against my opponent's team right here. Now I believe my opponent has one last Pokemon left, which is the Politoed, and judging how my opponent plays, he's obviously going to go for a Protect next turn. I could just wait it out, you know, have some turns skip over me, and then I can just finish off this Politoed with Cryogonal, but at the same time, just like, no way. There's just really no point for me to make Cryogonal suffer like that. Cryogonal deserves way better. He fails his Protect because I switched out, so that gives him another turn to go for Protect. That's just how my opponent plays, you know, he likes to play to the very end, which is very admirable. Most people would just, you know, not give a fuck, honestly, but my opponent is highly ambitious. And honestly, he's a great battler. So thank you once again, Big Z. Really awesome team. Lovely team. Thumbs up for his Johto team. Hope you guys enjoy this battle. If you guys do, remember to leave a like. Remember to leave a comment and answer the comment question of the day. What is your favorite Pokemon region? I'll see you guys once Sun and Moon comes out. Have an awesome day, everyone.